In our last episode, we discussed the importance of controlling one's anger and the virtues of it when it comes to the Quran and Sunnah. In this episode, inshallah, we will speak about what Imam al-Balkhi rahimahullah ta'ala says are the treatments for anger and rage. The first mental maneuver Imam al-Balkhi rahimahullah ta'ala informs us of is to take advantage of our times of relaxation and tranquility to convince ourselves that anger is a symptom which can be resisted at its first appearance. If one is not able to resist the anger at the beginning, then it will escalate into rage, where it will be extremely difficult to suppress and often lead to impulsive and regrettable actions. This is because when someone is in this state, their mind becomes cloudy, and they can't think clearly, which will lead to the overlooking of consequences and actions. To emphasize this point, Imam al-Balkhi compares anger to a fire, which starting off small can easily be put out with a little effort, but which if allowed to continue unrestrained, will burst into flames, destroying whatever is flammable around it. So it is vital for us to extinguish this anger before it morphs into rage if left unchecked. The next mental tactic he gives us is to contemplate the disorder that occurs in the body when a person becomes angry. Some of these symptoms are rising temperature, increased heart rate, including blood pressure, increased breathing rate, and sweating. This increase in adrenaline is another reason people are pushed into reacting quickly and without thinking. Imam al-Balkhi rahimahullah ta'ala says that these changes in the body may evolve into a long-term bodily disorder, thus causing more suffering than if one were to exercise restraint and find ways to cope with anger in a healthy manner. The next tactic he gives us is to think of the remorse and regret experienced by those who have let rage take control of them and have led them to make terrible decisions. He gives the example of kings inflicting punishment on those who make them angry, and they will end up regretting that action in this life and without a doubt in the hereafter. By reflecting on the actions of those previously and the consequences of those actions, it shows us the importance of avoiding rage and motivating us to stay calm. The next tactic that he refers to is to recognize the virtue of patience and forgiveness. The example that Imam al-Balkhi rahmatullahi alayhi gives us is that of kings and rulers who were known to be forgiving. He says these rulers are the ones to be remembered for generations to come because of their noble ability to suppress rage and pardon offenders. He says one who wishes to heal his anger should ask himself whether it is better to emulate the most gracious models of forgiveness or to execute vengeance, exposing the soul to the expected pain of regret and remorse. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the reward of being forgiven. Last episode we mentioned the ayat from Surah Al-Imran, and hasten towards forgiveness from your Lord and a paradise as vast as the heavens and the earth, prepared for those mindful, those who have taqwa. They are those who donate in prosperity and adversity, control their anger and pardon others, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the doers of good. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in Surah Al-Taghabun, وَأَن تَعْفُوا وَتَصْفَحُوا وَتَغْفِرُوا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. But if you pardon, overlook, and forgive their faults, then Allah is truly all forgiving, most merciful. The first ayah in Surah Al-Imran is the one that we took a look at in our previous video, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that His forgiveness and paradise is for those who donate in good and bad times, and they are also controlling their anger and forgiving others. The second ayah tells us that if we are able to overlook and forgive other people, then in return Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive us and have mercy upon us. On top of being remembered as a gracious and forgiving person, genuine love and mercy will fill the hearts of people towards you. So this is a very good tactic to contemplate before erupting in anger and rage. Think about the reward and virtue associated with being patient and forgiving. Finally, it's up to us to choose whether we are people who are calm, collected, and easy to get along with, or someone who gets angry easily and people dislike being around them. The next tip that Al-Imam al-Balkhi gives us is to wait until the anger has subsided before making any important decision. Like we said earlier, being angry clouds one's judgment, and making decisions while angry will heavily be influenced by the anger itself. So it would be smart to hold off on important decision making until anger has no longer the ability to influence our decision making process. It was said that when the Prophet ﷺ would get angry, he would turn his head away or walk away. This has multiple benefits. The first being that the anger would not be taken out on the person in front of us. Moving us away from the anger itself and the source of the anger gives us the chance to calm down and not allow the person to be lashed at. Also, the person who made the Prophet ﷺ angry would not see the Prophet ﷺ's anger projected towards them. The last tactic that Al-Imam al-Balkhi gives us is to hate the action and not the person. This way we can avoid any unjust or oppressive behavior. Al-Imam al-Balkhi also tells us that most offenses are caused by some tempting desire that got in the way of their responsibilities. We should also contemplate that if we have done something similar, and we may find we have done equal or even greater errors, that we should sympathize with them just as we desire for someone to sympathize with us. Ultimately, we need to understand that we should let our rationality suppress our anger before our anger overpowers our rationality.